Hey everyone, Anthony back here again, and we're going to continue with breaking stuff. Now we've covered some basic Python exceptions and ways you can do it, so those hopefully are fresh in your memory. Now we're going to get into, I guess, function abuse. So what do I mean by function abuse? A function takes parameters and does stuff for you. So there's a couple ways we can break it. One is obviously to, well, try to do something strange. Let's do this. I have a grade node in my script here. Nuke selected node. The node is nuke selected node. See how I'm getting a value error now? That value error is very explicit. It's telling me that I've got no selected node, which is true, and that's why it can't deal. Nuke selected node is not going to work with you on that one. So another thing we've got here is if I say, let's import the math module, and we're just going to ask the math module for the square root of -1. I know this actually works, you get an imaginary number, but for our purposes, we're going to get a value error again. Now, it's saying that yes, kinda, sort of okay, but no, I can't do this. So the last example is going to be, if I take the grade, oops, grade equals nuke to node, so I don't have to worry about selection. And if I ask it for input -1, right? Oops, let's just, sorry, the grade and the grade input -1, it's also giving us a value error. So you can see the theme here is that the value error in all three cases I've demonstrated here, the function's okay, you've chosen the right function, it is a valid thing to call, but something about one of the parameters you fed it is completely broken. So in the case of selected node, it expects a selection. Nothing selected, no good. In the case of the math square root function, you've asked it for a square root of something that it doesn't know how to do. Well, it does know how to do it, just refusing to do it for you. In the case of this this call, we were asking for the grades input -1. -1 input has no meaning at all to a grade node. It has no meaning to any node in Nuke because inputs start at 0. What does -1 mean? I don't know. You're trying to abuse the function. So that's what I mean by function abuse. So let's let me just put that comment up here. So value error is value error. It's a parameter that's correct but inane. Correct, but inane. It doesn't make any sense. There is a second type of error, however, which is related to this. So let's get these two here. Replicate this, and this is going to be a type error. So math square root of potato and nuke to node grade 1. Sure, we've got the node and input of potato. What does potato mean in this context? Well, it doesn't mean anything. So we get a type error this time. But it's also being fairly clear to us. It's saying that it has to be a number. You've given me a word. Why? I don't know, but I can't process it. I'm going to explode on you. So a type error is the other form of function abuse. It's essentially saying that you've given me garbage, literal garbage in this case, if I type this in. I cannot deal with this value. So that's what it's trying to indicate. And they are, this is an important, but I guess it's not that subtle, but it is kind of subtle. Type error. The function has been given a value that it has. It's a difference between asking the -1 input, which is it's kind of possible, but no, and asking for the potato input, which is totally and utterly nonsensical. That is nonsensical. Different type of input value. So that, and I guess that's where the name comes from. So a different type. It's expecting a integer rather than a string. So it's expecting a node rather than a string or a number. So those are the kind of things we've got here. So nuke to node nuke to node expects a string. Nuke to node does not expect a number. Nuke to node given a number has no idea what you mean. What is the number one node in the script? Personally, I think it's the ZD focus, but you know, people will disagree. That is, I guess, comes in the realm of function abuse. There are some smaller variations of this, which will, let's have a look at the help. I'll show you this one. So toNode, right? It takes only one parameter, which is a node name. So let's see what happens if we provide it more than it expects. TypeError. So toNode takes exactly one argument to given. It's still a type error because you're feeding the function with something that it can't. It's not that it's a wrong example of a node or some slight variation. You're giving it too much and it just does not know how to deal with it. So you'll always see this takes exactly blah argument, could be 1, could be 2, could be 20, and you've given it blah, which is more or less. So Nuke toNode with no arguments is, it tells you it takes exactly one argument, you've given it nothing. Right. So that's another message you'll see quite often. Another variation of this, if we look at we use the I think we use dependent. So wow. Yeah, no, I want something else. Oh, actually, no, that might work. Okay, so the grade dependent has this function signature here. This guy here, what and force evaluate, right? So we can do what equals, we can give it name things, what equals nuke.expressions, right? And force evaluate is false. Right, so that's fine, it's perfectly happy with that one. If we were to change this to what with a capital Z again, you'll notice I'm naming the variables here. It's saying type error. What z is an invalid keyword argument. So those are kind of the two things you want to spot. Like, invalid keyword argument means that you've given it a keyword argument that it doesn't understand. Check whether or not you've got a function that accepts what you're providing, you haven't got a spelling mistake, or check that you're actually running the right function. The other one is when you, oops, clear that one. All right, takes at most 2 arguments, 3 given. You haven't given it enough. You haven't given it enough arguments, right? Or too many. One of those two. You can also have this. I don't know. Force evaluate equals false. This is a syntax error, which is why I didn't really go into it, but it'll tell you exactly. This is very rare. This is you've made a mistake and your code will never run. So you'll fix that again in the very first pass of your code where you get syntax errors. Those aren't worth really going into. But yeah, that's just Python there. So that is, I guess, a concept of function abuse. The last thing I'm going to go into is, I guess, ways in which you might do things that look like these errors, but actually caused by a slightly different situation. So let me clear this. Sorted. So I have a grade node here. Let's just use toNode. Grade 1. Right, I have the grade here. I've done some work on it. Got rid of it. Cool. Put another grade node in. That's grade 1. No, I'm not going to rerun that line there. The grade.form. Wait, what? So if you see this here, value error, a Python object is not attached to a node. That means a very specific situation. All right. So you saw what I did. So let me recreate that problem again. We'll change it from grades to something else so you can actually see. So I'm going to use a roto node, so it's roto1. B node. So I've referenced the node. Let's look at the label because that's nice and easy. Yeah. Oh my god. When you're trying to do stuff on the fly, you forget stuff. I'm really getting, yeah. So again, type error, built-in functional method is not subscriptable. That's, I don't know how to explain that one, but as you make more and more mistakes, you'll start recognizing immediately what's going on. Anyway, so there's nothing on the label here. Let's put some text on the label. Great. Now, I'm going to delete this node. This is now going to complain because you're trying to get information off a node that doesn't exist anymore. So that's what it means here. A Python object is not attached to a node. Read this as you're trying to access a node that has been deleted. All right. Now, I'll show you a specific caveat here. I'm going to hit Control-Z. Run the same thing again. It's restored that node and it's restored the binding between the Python reference and the node in your script, and it's fine. All right. If I delete it, I'm going to get the same problem again. And if I create a new roto node, it doesn't work because this node here has an identity that is different from the node that we had selected and we got at this point. So pretty much if you see this, what you're doing is you're holding on to a stale reference to a node that no longer exists. Control-Z is the only way that I'm aware of you can get it back because it's undoing the thing you did. This is very common. This can hurt you quite a lot. So let me demonstrate, hopefully with the non-commercial limit. So I'm going to put down grade. So I have a number of grade nodes here. I'm going to select all of them. Okay, for grades, print grade dot full name. Cool. Grades. I've Control-X'd it. Boom. It's broken. Control-V'd. Also broken. Control-V does not do what you expect. Control-V is not the same node. It's just another copy of the node with pretty much everything on it. All right. The only way to get back is to Control-Z and undo it that way. And it's back. So that's a fairly interesting kind of situation. But if you ever see this value error, a Python object is not attached to a node, that is exactly what's happened. You're referencing a node that used to be there, but someone's deleted it. And unless you hit Control-Z, you're never going to get it back, which is why you have to be careful with node selection statuses and all sorts of things. Especially if you're doing node graph manipulation. If you're deleting and recreating nodes, you can cause this problem for yourself. Kind of fun, kind of annoying. The other variation on this one I might show you quickly is a value error after whatever. Let's leave those grades there. So what I'm going to do now is demonstrate another possibility. So Nuke to node grade, let's do grade 5 dot knob white dot value. I'm going to just print it out. Okay, it's a value of 1. White is, I think it's, no, white point's gain, isn't it? All right. You'd think the number of times I use that, I would remember. So yeah, easy, done, fine. Gonna get rid of that. Gonna run this again. So this is not saying Python objects deleted because we're trying to find it again. We're trying to reselect that node here. It's giving us an attribute here. NoneType object has no attribute knob. If you see this, what you want to latch onto is this first section, NoneType object. Attribute error, fine, that'll give you a hint. But it's saying NoneType object, and that should raise alarm bells in your head. It's saying that whatever you use to find the node is giving you nothing back. And because it's giving you nothing back, everything afterwards is going to be broken. If you started doing this and going, knob, wait, is it called white? Is it called white point? Nope, still broken. Is it gain? Nope, still broken. The error message isn't changing. It's still steadfastly telling you over and over again, it's a NoneType, and it's because the first bit of the call is broken. So that is also something that's fairly common when I'm mucking around, especially early on when I started programming some of this stuff. I would go through and do things and just like, why is this broken? I'm using the wrong knob. I don't know the name of the function. Maybe it's capital V value. Maybe I need to put some, oh, I deleted the node. I'm an idiot. So yeah, profit from my mistakes. Look out for the NoneType object thing there. So yeah, hopefully this, I guess, concludes the little two-part mini-series on how Anthony breaks stuff in Nuke. If you do have any gremlins, things that you've blown up and can't understand the error messages, feel free to shoot through in the comments. I'll see if I can do up a little test case reproduction and explain how they come about if you're curious. But hopefully, if you're getting into coding in Nuke and Python, they should give you a bit of a head start decoding some of this stuff here that you'll see in terms of error messages. It is a really useful skill you want to develop because the error messages will often tell you or give you hints on where to look, what is broken, and if you've got decent coding style and you can read the error messages, often you can just smell what's going on just by, oh wait, this printout's occurring here, I'm not expecting, oh, I know what's going on, and you can get to the heart of a problem very quickly. So yeah, good luck with it. May you never have to actually use any of this stuff because your code will be perfect. But yeah, right, that never happens. So yeah, have fun with it, and I'll see you guys later.